Hi, good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. I am Dominique House. I am your hosting artist for today. Today, we are going to do some geometrical shapes with henna. And I just wanted to let you guys know that we are in day 2 of the henna challenge brought to you by Living Color Artists. I want to encourage you to join along, go through the steps with me. You can do it on paper. You can just like draw an outline of your hand, or you can trace on like a hand template if you have those. You can use a pencil. You can use a marker. You can use henna. You can use cake frosting if you want to give you that consistency of what henna would feel like so that you could get better with control. Hello, hello. Thank you guys. Say hello and where you are from. As you come in and join us this morning. So I just want to go back and tell you a little bit about myself and my experience with henna. I am a jack of multiple trades when it comes to face and body art. So I learned henna at a convention, actually. So those of you who are just starting or who have never attended a convention, I encourage you to just pick one. Go into it and see all the classes that they have to offer. Henna was just something that was part of the face and body art industry. And sorry, my dog was in the room. But take a class. Like I learned so much about the fundamentals, the element, the history of it all. Which really had me in awe. I took home the elements that I learned at the convention and I practiced for a year. Like I practiced on anybody who would let me. I did bellies, I did hands, I did arms, I did legs, I did feet. Just wanting to get comfortable with, all the different places that henna can go. Hey, all right, Jacqueline. Like, I am so excited to share some stuff with you. So, from a different scope, I know Sophie was on yesterday. I hope you guys all got a chance to view with her. And she went over a lot of the basics with henna, where it comes from and whatnot. But I want you guys to know that henna is something that's used all over the world. So today, what I'm going to go over with you guys is geometrical henna, which is also known as like the Moroccan style, which is part of North Africa. And henna in Africa has been used for just over 1,000 years. And a lot of times in henna that's used within that culture, they use what's called adinkra symbols. And that'll be shared on the screen here in a little bit. You guys will see some of those elements. So you see a lot of those lines and geometrical shapes and that designs. And you'll see like on the palm that there's some symbols and things like that. Those have different meaning in the culture. Those symbols were created from ancient kings and queens in Africa over 1,000 years ago. So I thought that was really, really awesome as part of the culture. So I want to incorporate some of those shapes and symbols into the design that I'm going to do. I have a lovely model here. So I'm going to turn the camera around here in a little bit. Does anybody have any questions before I get started that I could address? Because it's going to take like a second or two. I love learning the background information. Look, there's a plethora of information, like it's ever changing. Every culture uses it for different reasons. There's so much that we could go into, but I'm not going to go into super depth. But much like the Indian cultures or the Pakistan cultures, you have, the African cultures that use the same type of body art for, important life events like weddings or coming to age or adulthood. Yep. Absolutely. Yes. Hi, Nye. All right. So I am going to turn my camera around and get started with the design. And I'll talk to you guys a little bit about things that I have in my setup before I get started as well. So give me just a second. Is it expensive to start? No. So henna is actually the most inexpensive form of body art. You can get henna powder pretty cheap. You can get like 100 grams for under $20 or $30. And you're mixing it with household items. So lemon juice, sugar, and essential oils. And then, the cones and things like that, all of that is still fairly inexpensive. I want to say my kit probably cost me less than $100. Even if you bought pre-made cones, they're like $5 a piece on average. So, and I probably can use one cone for an entire party. So, all right, I'm going to turn my camera around. Actually, we're going to turn it this way. And I am hoping that you can see her hand well. I'm going to bring this down. Let me bring this back some. Great. Okay. So I want to let you guys know that when you are doing henna on a potential customer or a client, whether it's at an event, a festival, a birthday party, or whatever, you want to make sure that you ask them some important questions. So you're doing a necessary consultation. When you sit down and you have someone in front of you, you want to know if they have any allergies. Like I use eucalyptus or lavender, or sometimes I use grapefruit essential oils in my henna cones. So I'm going through that if they have any allergies to that. And then on occasion, I have had someone who was allergic to lavender. I have had someone who was allergic to eucalyptus. So asking that question will save you an incident where someone's like, oh my gosh, I had a reaction. It is not likely for someone to have a reaction to the actual henna plant, but it could be possible that someone have a reaction to, for instance, like the citrus of the lemon juice that's in henna, or even one of the essential oils that you use. So you also want to make sure that you let them know that you're cleaning their skin. If someone has on like a heavy body butter or sunblock, you're going to make sure that you go over maybe a couple applications of rubbing alcohol to make sure that you're getting all of those barriers off the skin. Otherwise, that paste is not going to stain as well. And I'm sorry, guys, because I have the camera turned the way that I do, I'm not able to see any of your questions, but still feel free to ask. And then after the live is over, I will go back through and address all of those questions in the comments, okay? I also like to point out that she has on a ring. Whenever someone sits down, they're just like, oh, do I need to take off my ring? Do I need to take off my watch? In most cases, I tell them no. If this is a item that you wear on a regular basis, I don't want them to lose things by taking it off, and it's not normal for them to do. We just work the design around it. Okay. So I've cleaned all of her skin. I've gone over with her prior to you guys being on camera, whether or not she has any allergens to the ingredients in my henna, and everything looks to be safe. I'm also I've cut my cone open, and some people roll them so there's just a pin, but I want to make sure that the consistency is good, that it's not too watery. Sometimes when they unthaw, it gets a little bit more condensation in there. So I'm just doing a test run and making sure that before I apply it to your skin, I don't have any accidents. So I'm going to have you spread your fingers just like that. Yep. And we're going to start here. So I'm going to do a series of like circles and those geometrical shapes similar to how you guys saw. And I'm going to make another one. This is going to create a layer for me to then go back in and make more shapes. Do a series of lines. Like triangles. We're going opposite ways, but in threes. I've got a Q-tip. A little misdirection here. And my batch of henna here is really sticky. I added extra sugar to it just because some people will add a sealant to henna so that it stays on the skin a lot better. In here in Michigan, it's really humid. So it helps it from flaking off sooner than we want, because we know the longer you leave the paste on the skin, the darker the stain will be, the longer it will last you. Things that I keep in my henna kit are Q-tips. I have these finer pointed Q-tips if I need to get into a smaller area, or there's like a little bit of a smudge. It happens. Nobody's perfect. There we go. And then I'm going to go the other way. So I'm just changing the angle as I go through. And I have a towel underneath her hand because sometimes I just need to get some of the excess off. All right, I'm going to do another line around this. All right. Now, symmetry is something that is a very important element of henna. And there's different things that you can do to help yourself with that. So because I'm making like a geometrical shape, almost like a flower petal. What I do is I start in the middle, or I do 4 points so that I know that I have them evenly spaced. So I did one right in the middle, and now I'm going to do one here. And then I'm going to go back and do one here. And that will help me make sure that they're more evenly spaced as I continue to go along in this design. One more. Now this gives us a much easier guide to just go around. And I'm going to switch cones here. I want to say this one probably has a little less sticky consistency. Indeed, it does. So inside the petals, I'm just going to do a little detail. So we'll do some series of lines and dots in each one. Also, you always want to be conscious of where your hand is as you're applying the henna. Typically, if you were starting a design that went all the way from back here to the tip of the fingers, you want to start in the back so that you don't accidentally lay your hand on top of things that you've already done. But the angle I have this design at, I'm able to work from the outside around her hand and guide my arm as such. We're going to put dots inside of this negative space of each of where the angle changed. Then a series of lines in the center of this. And then an actual full circle at the tip of each of those. Okay, to tie it in, we're going to do another small flower here. And we can do, I like beading. We'll do something similar to that in a different style with just like straight lines and a variation of dots. So we'll do a smaller flower here. And again, for symmetry, I'm going to give myself guides. So I'm going to do a line here, a line there, a line there, a line there. So I have my 4 points to be sure that I am staying symmetrical as I do this design. And that line is very faint. You don't want to put a bunch of pressure on it when you're applying those. And now I can go back into those negative spaces and do that extra petal there. And this is a variation of what's there. Complementary designs, can't talk this morning, reflect each other. So you'll see some of the similar elements that just tie in throughout the entire design. We'll just put a big dot here. We'll do a series of a line here. When you're doing beading, you want this line to be fine. So if you have a tip of your henna cone that is too wide at the bottom, you are not going to get the effect that you want doing beading. So it should just be a really thin line, but you do want to be able to see it still. So I am going to do a series of dots only in the center line. And just one big one and then one little one on each side. Then from here, we're going to do a design on her fingers. And then I'm hoping you guys can see that okay. Checking. We're going to do a series of lines to just tie all this in. When doing designs on the finger, you want to try to avoid doing things heavy on the knuckles, because as soon as they walk away and they go like this, it's going to smudge or smear or something like that. Unless you can tell them to do like a flat beauty queen wave for 20 minutes until it's completely dry, like they should be okay. But I'm then going to put a series of lines in these V shapes that I just made. And then I'll do another one above it. Actually, no, probably not. I'll do some lines above it. We'll do a circle. Again, this is an element I incorporated into the center of that flower over there. So we're just bringing it back in on the fingers. I'll have the lines go up on this finger. And then the ring finger. And it's amazing. Her ring actually already goes with this design. So the photos will be really pretty. It looks like it all ties into that. So on this one, we'll do something a little different. We'll do a series of dots around this line. I'm wiping off the cone as I get like too much drag at the end, so that every time I take the cone back to the skin, I don't have too much at the end. We'll do a series of lines here. Actually, we can do a variation of things. Add some of those. Alrighty. And then to do the thumb, once all of these other fingers are done, you want to lift the hand, turn your hand to the right. Yep. And then do the design on the thumb. All right, put your hand back down. There we go. And this isn't a super elaborate design, but all of those elements are there, step by step, starting from here, working my way this way, the fingers, how to hold the hands. I'm not sure if you guys have any other questions. I'm going to turn the camera back around or zoom in actually so you guys can get a better view. Ooh. Turn my camera back vertically. There we go. All right. I've got 2 in the chat. Okay. Someone wanted to see it closer. Typically, you want to think if you're doing an event or you're doing a festival, design should take you 5 minutes or less. I mean, you can do things that take like 7 minutes, but the name of the game with festivals is get them in your chair, get them out of your chair, get on to the next one. I'm trying to go back through and see additional comments, but I'm not able to see them. You guys are welcome. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Like I said, if there's any questions that I missed, I'll go back through the chat. Please feel free to follow me on social media. I am colorful_events on social media, and colorful events on Facebook. Thank you guys so much. You guys have a great day. Bye.